Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to Government House. My name is Hugh and I have the honour to be Official Secretary to Her Excellency the Governor, and I'll be the Master of Ceremonies this afternoon. As we start, can I please ask you to ensure your mobile phones are turned to silent? We do ask too that there's no photography during the ceremony. Feel free to do it at any stage after, anywhere in the House, including with Her Excellency, and of course we have an official photographer here. The ceremony is also being live streamed on YouTube as we speak and will remain on our YouTube channel so that you'll be able to access it later. This is the last of 6 ceremonies to present Australian honours, most of which were announced on the Australia Day holiday earlier this year. Before we continue, can I please ask you to join me in thanking the band from the Royal Australian Navy for their support this afternoon. It's now my pleasure to introduce the official party for this afternoon. They are the Honourable Blair Boyer, Minister for Education, Training and Skills, representing the Premier; the Honourable John Gardner, Shadow Minister for Education, Training and Skills, representing the Leader of the Opposition; Commander Paul Worth, representing the Commanding Officer, HMAS Encounter; Lieutenant Colonel Brenton Gastine, representing the Army Area Representative, South Australia; Group Captain Aaron Moore, representing the Senior Australian Defence Force Officer, Edinburgh Precinct; and Assistant Commissioner Ian Parrott, representing the Commissioner of Police. If you are able, can I invite you now please to be upstanding for the arrival of Her Excellency the Governor and Mr Brenton, and to remain standing for the playing of the Vice-Regal Salute.
Please be seated, everyone. Gana bogana alia, gana miana alia, yaichimina alia, kumatana yartananku. Nyaltana tampandi, gana miana, yaichi yata matina, pukininanku, yalaka, takaricha. I acknowledge that the land we're meeting on this afternoon is the traditional land of the Kaurna people from the past, today and in future. And I want to particularly acknowledge and pay my respects to any Aboriginal people who may be here this afternoon, whether from Kaurna country or other lands and regions. Rod and I welcome you most warmly to this special investiture ceremony this afternoon. I know some of you have been here many times before. For others, it may have been some time, perhaps even decades since you were last here. Just about everyone in South Australia gets a school trip, and sometimes it can be a long time in between. Some of you may be here for the first time. Our strong view is that this is a house for all South Australians, and we want you to feel most warmly welcome. I will start by congratulating the recipients of the awards I'm about to make. You are being honoured for your service and exceptional achievement, and it's wonderful to see you here, along with, in front here, those who've supported you, those you love most, friends and family, those who've made it possible for you to give the service we're honouring today. And for you all, I really hope that this will be a day to remember, not only for the service of the person you're here to support, but for everybody else's as well. And when you add all of that up, it comes to something quite extraordinary. The way we recognise extraordinary things is not only through all of your presence, recipients and guests, but also through the Honourable Blair Boyer, representing the Premier of South Australia, the Honourable John Gardner, representing the Leader of the Opposition, our Army, Navy, Air Force and SAPOL leaders, and also a couple of special people who make this all possible, in particular Rick Morris, who is South Australia's representative for the Order of Australia Council. And I'd also like to acknowledge Mrs. Catherine House AM, who is representing the chair of the Order of Australia Association in South Australia. It's extraordinary too because the recipients don't typically seek recognition. In fact, I think some of them sometimes feel a little uncomfortable standing next to me, hearing about all of the wonderful things that we're recognising today. Some people even delete the emails that come from Government House thinking it can't possibly be them who is receiving an award. That being the case though, our community does want to recognise your service, and I please encourage everybody here, recipients and guests, after today you will really know what it is that we're seeking to honour through the Australian National Honours System. And I encourage you please to nominate either directly yourselves or others. It's not hard, it's all pretty much online these days, but the Honours Secretariat in Canberra is very willing to help. And finally, to the recipients, please do wear your insignia. I wear mine every day. Special occasions, I wear my medal. In the evening, on an occasion which requires evening wear, of course, there are miniatures to wear there, but the everyday is the pin. I look forward to seeing you wearing it next time I see you. Over to you, Official Secretary.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, the following recipients have been appointed members in the General Division of the Order of Australia. Mr. John Irving is recognised for significant service to the arts and to business. After coming to Australia with his parents as 10-pound poms, Mr. Irving went on to become an accountant and company director and has been applying his considerable skills to a wide range of businesses for more than 4 decades. He works with organisations to improve their performance, strategy, governance, and inspires innovation. He has also devoted much time and energy to the arts since having been introduced to the Australian Business Arts Foundation. He has chaired the State Opera and the State Theatre Company and was a director of the Australian Major Performing Arts Group. He encourages arts bodies to evolve and prosper through appropriate risk management and by understanding their audiences. He was recently appointed chair of the new State Opera of South Australia Foundation, which will raise money for the company. Mr. Irving is also a director of the Limestone Coast Local Health Network, where new service models are being considered to improve access to care. He says his passion for business and the arts has given him far more than he has put in. Mr. John Irving. Ms. Kate Jillellan is recognised for significant service to literature as an author and poet. From beginning to write poetry in secret to publishing her first book of poetry in 1982, Ms. Llewellyn has spent most of her life creating pictures through prose. She began writing while studying history and classics at university, where her talent won her a prize for English verse. She co-edited the Penguin Book of Australian Women Poets, containing the work of Indigenous and non-Indigenous writers over many decades. She was also the first National Secretary of the Poets Union of Australia. Through her writing, Ms. Llewellyn has examined many aspects of life, from the joy of quiet moments in the garden to the lessons learned through growing older. She has also written essays, short stories and travel books and taught creative writing courses. She created her home garden with the idea of taking people on a journey through what she describes as a wild and exuberant space where she likes to sit and write letters. At 88, Ms. Llewellyn was commissioned to write a poem for this year's Adelaide Biennial of Australian Art and was thrilled that it was put to music and performed by the Adelaide Chamber Singers. Ms. Kate Jill Llewellyn. Mr. Richard John Pur is recognised for significant service to public administration and to the community of South Australia. Mr. Pur entered the public service in 1985 and learned from his first mentor to bring your A game every day. Now head of the Department of Treasury and Finance, he has also led the Departments of Education and Attorney General and has overseen widespread reforms. He believes in creating teams with a high degree of trust and confidence that can carefully negotiate and implement change. He believes in stepping up to challenges and focusing on solutions rather than obstacles. As head of the Education Department, he visited 400 schools and preschools during a transformation program that included moving Year 7 to high school and investing in high-speed broadband for every site. The latter became even more important when the COVID pandemic began and children did their schooling from home. Mr. Pur says the experience he has gained across government gave him a rare and valuable perspective to bring to his role as Under-Treasurer when he was appointed in 2022. Mr. Richard John Pur. Your Excellency, the following recipients have been awarded the Medal of the Order of Australia in the General Division. The Reverend Patrick Joseph Gillespie is recognised for service to youth through school-based sports programs. A deep-seated belief in the power of sports to instil values such as teamwork, discipline and resilience in young people is at the heart of Reverend Gillespie's mission. Through various programs, including after-school sports, Gaelic football and church basketball, the Reverend Gillespie has provided young people with opportunities to discover their potential. As the Senior Chaplain of Westminster School, he has implemented a range of initiatives, including midnight basketball, an 8-week basketball tournament for at-risk youth. By offering structured games, mentoring sessions, and life skills workshops in a supportive environment, he aimed to steer participants towards a path of personal development and growth. In his previous role as pastor of the Edwardstown Baptist Church, Reverend Gillespie supported initiatives such as Gwen's Pantry, which provided essential food assistance to families facing food insecurity. The Reverend Patrick Joseph Gillespie. Mr. Ivon Roy Golding is recognised for service to speedway racing. With a career spanning decades, Mr. Golding's influence on the sport of motorcycle racing extends far beyond the tracks he once raced on. Mr. Golding's journey into speedway racing began in his hometown of Murray Bridge, where his natural talent for navigating tracks with precision saw him earn a reputation as a formidable competitor. Mr. Golding's tenure as Vice President of Motorcycling Australia and Vice President of Motorcycling South Australia showcased his leadership abilities as he played a key role in shaping the direction of speedway racing across the country, promoting safety and fostering talent development. He served as President of the Murray Bridge Speedway Club for 15 years, and under his guidance the club flourished into a premier destination for speedway enthusiasts. In addition to his leadership roles, Mr. Golding has made significant contributions to the sport as a Level 4 official with Motorcycling Australia, playing a crucial role in upholding the integrity and fairness of racing events. Mr. Ivon Roy Golding. Mr. Robert Hugh Grant is recognised for service to local government and to the community. Mr. Grant has been a steadfast advocate for the residents of the city of Charles Sturt, serving as a councillor for 3 decades with a focus on preserving the region's natural beauty and historical legacy. Mr. Grant's advocacy for the preservation of green spaces was instrumental in safeguarding vital ecosystems and providing residents with areas for recreation. As a member of the Woodville Local Board of Health, Mr. Grant demonstrated a keen understanding of public health issues and worked tirelessly to promote the health and safety of the community. Similarly, his role with the local Animal and Protection Board underscored his dedication to environmental conservation and the protection of the region's natural resources. Mr. Grant's passion for history and culture fueled his efforts to protect significant landmarks and sites and led him to establishing the Port of Adelaide branch of the National Trust. Additionally, Mr. Grant's contributions to the Woodville Hockey Club and the governing councils of Alberton Primary and Woodville High Schools underscored his commitment to nurturing community connections. Mr. Robert Hugh Grant. Mr. Michael John Holland is recognised for service to the community through emergency response organisations. For more than 3 decades, Mr. Holland has been a steadfast guardian of his community, serving with unwavering dedication in the South Australian Ambulance Service. As a volunteer team leader, Mr. Holland has played a pivotal role in coordinating emergency responses and ensuring that the crews of Canalpan and Kumanduk are prepared to handle any situation effectively. In the event of a car accident, a medical crisis or a natural disaster, Mr. Holland is often the first to arrive, providing critical medical assistance and comfort to those in need. His ability to remain calm under pressure and confidently make split-second decisions has saved many lives over the years. A lifelong resident of Canalpan, Mr. Holland's knowledge of the area and its residents allows him to provide care that goes beyond medical treatment. His familiarity with local resources, support networks, and community dynamics enables him to provide holistic help to those in need, fostering a sense of trust. Mr. Michael John Holland. The late Mr. Paul Simon Murray is recognised for service to gymnastics as an administrator and coach. His medal will be accepted by his wife Amanda on behalf of the family. While his childhood love was soccer, Mr. Murray became a proud supporter of gymnastics through his daughter's involvement in the sport. A first visit to watch one of his daughters quickly snowballed. He began helping the coach every week, then gained his coaching qualifications, then joined the Board of Gymnastics South Australia, which he chaired for a year. A mechanical engineer by trade, Mr. Murray was a much-loved volunteer coach at the Hub Gymnastics Club for 23 years, and its centre is named in his honour. His family says he was very outgoing and enthusiastically threw himself into everything he took on. Indeed, several local MPs have noted how his fervour for the sport and his community translated into getting things done. Mr. Murray was an inclusive coach who welcomed children of all abilities, and he worked hard to help other clubs in order to improve the sport for all. the late Mr. Paul Simon Murray. Mr. Noel Donald OBrien is recognised for service to the community through a range of roles. In 57 years of Lions Club service, Mr. O'Brien has changed many lives, in part by setting up health screening projects. As Health Committee Chairman of the Glenside Lions Club, he brought a free skin cancer screening program to South Australia, including a mobile unit to improve access in regional areas. Around 1/4 of those screened are referred for further tests. Free diabetes screening has also helped people in high-risk communities get treatment and support. Originally a wool broker from Victoria, Mr. O'Brien came to Adelaide in 1978 and continued his community service, helping establish the Lions Club of Glenside, of which he is a past president. He co-founded the popular Glenside Book Mart, which raises vital funds for club programs. And he is most proud of his role in the health projects that continue to save lives. Mr. Noel Donald O'Brien. Mr. Francis Joseph ONeal is recognised for service to the community through a range of organisations. Mr. O'Neal's work has helped thousands of people into stable and affordable housing, and many others to gain the education and training needed to launch their careers. Upon leaving his role as Registrar of the University of Adelaide, he was described by the then Vice-Chancellor, Professor Mary O'Kane, as one of the great lateral thinkers and problem solvers in the Australian higher education system. After nearly 3 decades in university leadership roles, Mr. O'Neal established a business to help overseas students gain technical qualifications. He co-founded Unity Housing, which, through its social and affordable housing programs, has made a significant contribution to the community by supporting vulnerable people who need secure homes. And as a Rotary District Director, he has worked to mark the organisation's centenary in South Australia by developing a scholarship program for Aboriginal students to work in chronic disease prevention. Mr. Francis Joseph ONeal. Mrs. Ivon Jean Tyler is recognised for service to community music. Mrs. Tyler has had a long involvement with music in education, the church and the broader community. After gaining a graduate diploma in the arts, she worked as a music teacher at Glengarry High School for 20 years, where she developed a comprehensive music program. An integral member of the Glengarry Uniting Church, Mrs. Tyler served the community as a talented organist and directed the choir for an incredible 50 years, right up until 2022. She worked as an accompanist for Emmanuel Singers, which performed 40 concerts annually, as well as the Plympton CWA Choir, both for many years. She also played for the Henley Beach Gilbert and Sullivan Society as part of their annual production. Currently, Mrs. Tyler serves as chair of the congregation at Glengarry Uniting Church and has been a church elder since 2002. Mrs. Ivon Jean Tyler. Mr. Brenton Ivon Vanston is recognised for service to the community of Port Pirie. Mr. Vanston's strong relationship with the community of Port Pirie, including the township of Wandera, is evidenced by the many roles and projects with which he has been involved over the years. As a mixed farming business owner and former councillor with the Port Pirie City Council for 19 years, 5 of those as mayor, he has tirelessly advocated to improve the economic prosperity and livability of these communities. In addition, Mr. Vanston has supported his region through a range of other roles, including Chair of the Upper Spencer Gulf Common Purpose Group, Deputy Chair of the Provincial Cities Association, and Deputy Chair of the Regional Development Australia, York and Mid-North. Since 2019, he's been Chair of UniHub Spencer Gulf, a not-for-profit, community-owned facility that brings tertiary education opportunities to people in the Spencer Gulf, supporting personal and career development of citizens in the region. Mr. Brenton Ivon Vanston. Mr. John Ward is recognised for service to mnemonics. A physicist by training, Mr. Ward's interest in mnemonics, the study of sundials, stems back to the establishment of his own business, Sundials Australia, in 1977. It was here that he could apply the ancient science of mnemonics to create impressive sundials which cast shadows to show the hour of the day. Mr. Ward was also a founding member of the British Society in 1989, which thrives to this day. His interest in mnemonics led him to co-author a publication entitled Sundials Australia in 1996, and he has been a guest speaker for many years at various garden societies and service groups. Mr. Ward has since made sundials for people and places across the world, including the 14th Dalai Lama. His work can be seen in Saudi Arabia, Texas, Brazil and Japan, and more locally in Golden Grove, Port Augusta and the Flinders Ranges. Mr. John Ward. Your Excellency, that concludes the presentations.
Thank you, Official Secretary. Well, I'm sure you'll agree, we've all, it seems to me, everyone's smiling. And that's the perfect way to end this 6th investiture ceremony. We've heard some wonderful things. Our minds have gone in all sorts of directions as we've heard about the service we've been recognising today. So please everyone, let's join together one last time and congratulate our recipients.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are able, please be upstanding for the departure of Her Excellency and Mr. Brenton and the official party. Can I please ask recipients to remain in the room for the official photograph and for guests to join Her Excellency and Mr. Brenton in the drawing rooms for afternoon tea? Thank you very much.